Hi, I'm Johnston. I'm a dyer and a quilter. Over the years, I have produced books and online videos about my work, which you may want to reference for more details. It seems that as fiber artists, we frequently need fabric that has a blend of colors across a piece of fabric. In this series of short videos, I'd like to show you some techniques that will be options for you to dye any color blend you want. In part 1, I'll show you a quick approach with amazing results. At the same time, I'll review the most important facts about being sure the dye is fixed in the fabric. I have written a quick reference for the 3 recipes you will need posted here and links to free downloadable handouts in the video description below. First, I'll show you an overview of this color blending process. My cotton is wet with a solution of water and soda ash, which is the fixative for Procion MX Dye. These fiber-reactive dyes are made for natural fibers and sold as powders. I make liquid concentrates with them because then it's easy to dilute them and mix them as I wish. My fabric is wrinkled to add patterning to the flow of the colors. I mix the colors before I start pouring so I can be as fast as I need to be. Here I have several blues and bright yellow that want to flow together and make green. I work quickly with my gloves, rubbing the edges where I pour them and occasionally cleaning my gloves with a rag. I have to avoid putting my blue gloves on the yellow parts too much if I want any yellow left at all. The washed and ironed result shows the colors where I poured them and where they flowed along the folds. Here I'm starting with everything I need for my color blend: a washable white surface, a container of soda solution, a bottle of urea water, small cups with a 50-50 mix of dye concentrate and water. For each one, I measure like this: a tablespoon of navy blue with a tablespoon of urea water. I also have extra cups and clean, dry fabric. First, I make a set of lighter values by pouring some of each dark color into a new cup and adding more urea water. Notice that as I pour, I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. The more urea water I add, the lighter the color. I keep the set of darker colors just in case. In order to test what colors I've mixed and get a good look at them, I wet a piece of fabric in soda solution and drop some of the colors onto it so I can see what they look like. With some of them, like this red, I make an even lighter value by adding a lot more urea water. Then I start to mix the colors together. I either mix them in a new cup or I mix them in the cups I've already made. Making a nice neutral color with this one, kind of greenish. And I clean off the table and get ready to start a bigger piece. In this case, when I wet the fabric, I want to wring it out a lot because I don't like to have it dripping wet. An alternative would be to put it in the washing machine and spin out some of the liquid, making sure that no water is actually going in the washing machine at the same time. I have a gold pin on this piece of fabric because one side of it's shiny. It's a cotton sateen, and I like to work with the shiny side down, and you'll see why later in the results. I arranged some horizontal wrinkles, and even though I have made some of the drops previously, I'm still going to check and see what color dye I'm getting ready to put down. Oh, whoops. Now you see why I have my little cups on a tray. I have to think about this for a minute. It's okay. I didn't really have a definite plan in mind. I spread the dyes and use it all up, putting it all on the left side of the fabric, letting it flow into the folds. And as I spread and move out the bubbles and change the wrinkles, I'm also moving the dye. And where it moves out from the original spot I poured it on, it's a lighter color because the dye is already fixing in the fabric as I'm working. And some of it is still left that I can spread out and make a lighter color. The side of my hand helps push out bubbles that form under the fabric. I'm using turquoise now, a generous amount of it. And as I work it across the fabric, you can see the bubbles between the fabric and the table. The amount of dye you pour on the fabric will determine how far you can spread it and what the bubbles look like. I'm going to make a little bit lighter color turquoise. And putting it on with a spoon so I can be more precise about where I put it. As I rub the colors, I get an idea of how far they're going to spread. And I can accentuate the wrinkles. Starting with this red, I can get an idea how far it's going to spread on its own, and then I spread it into lighter values with my hands. So I'm just about to pour blue on here. I changed my mind. And spread the red over that teal blue color on the end, pushing out the wrinkles. I've mixed a bright gold. You can see it doesn't look bright gold in the cup. And I dripped it so I can work on that dot. I'm at the point now where I can add color and change the blends a little bit with my gloves. I can also make new wrinkles or marks on it. I've got to be careful at this point because I could end up with a big puddle of muddy color, which I don't want. I'm adding more dark to some of the parts that look kind of medium value. I'm essentially leaving the main wrinkles where they were when I started and adding dark along the sides of some of them. Now I want to get that green dot. That's next. I had my eye on it the whole time. I decided I'd pour this color over it and mitigate some of the bright gold. I can't take away the gold, but I can change it. The colors are transparent. And there's no way to cover up a color. You don't take it away. You blend with it. Now I'm going to cover the fabric and keep it moist for at least 4 hours in order for the dye to continue to fix. It also continues to move. I also make sure that my room is warm. The fabric requires room temperature, 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius at least, for maximum color fixing. Meanwhile, I've got extra dye left over. Why not do another piece and use up that dye? There's plenty. I have a fabric already wet with soda, soaked fabric. It's wrinkled randomly this time. And I start with turquoise, a lighter value of turquoise, spooning it around, distributing it on the fabric. Sometimes I create a new fold when I'm putting down the dye. I rub it in a little. Kind of evaluate, decide where to add more. Now I've decided what color to use, but I did check it out on the cloth on the side of me, and I've decided to add a little red to it before I put it on the wet fabric. As the colors spread, they go under the folds, and sometimes I put them on top of the folds. All of that will make a difference when I'm done. I can change where the folds are, the white spaces, and add more colors. While I'm doing this, though, I'm watching what's happening. The colors are spreading all over underneath. And I've decided for this example to make the top half different than the lower half. I'm going to rub the colors in more up on the top and move the wrinkles a little bit. On the lower half, I'm not mixing the dye in the same way. So what I'll end up with is something much more blended. I can poke the wrinkles and I can add more color, but I'm essentially leaving them where they were, so the dye is fixing basically on the table side where it's puddling under the fabric. I'll let this one cure at the same time as the other one and wash them out in really hot water. Keep getting ideas where to put more colors. You can keep going with this and blending them with your fingers. The first piece with horizontal wrinkles looks different on the front side than it does on the back side. Here you see all the wrinkles and the colors are blended, but when you look at the side that is touching the table while you dye the fabric, you see much more defined edges, and some of the colors are darker. The detail from one corner shows a very soft blend on the front side of the fabric, and on the back side it shows more sharply the bubbles and the wrinkles and the folds that were on the top. The second piece of fabric This is the side that was facing the table. As you can see, the top part of it is blended. The colors look like you're looking through glass in a way that, because the wrinkles have been changed and moved. On the lower part, they're much more distinct, and they're brighter, lighter colors between them. Now, I love working on large pieces of fabric. This is a big shower curtain, heavy 100% cotton. And I planned the wrinkles out before I started, and I also decided how much dye, what colors to mix. I started with a wet fabric on the table, and about a third of it was covered with plastic to protect it from me splashing and to keep it moist while I worked on the lower part. Here you see the Southwest colors blended, poured on, and I'm getting ready to put on the blue. I was very careful where I worked in between the two colors, and as you get closer, you can see how wet it looks. It's really soaking wet. I don't need to cover it to keep it curing and moist, but I want to encourage the dye to flow. This is what it looks like after I washed it. A lot lighter in color. That's what you expect when you wet a piece of fabric and it dries. And I have a sample to show you. This part on the left of this piece of fabric is washed thoroughly, and the little strip on the right side is not washed. I expect the colors to match. Here is a sample I've washed. I put water on part of it. I want to see if it's all washed out. Iron it with an iron until it's dry. And when I lift it up, there should be no color. This is the final piece of fabric hanging in my studio. It's so much fun. You get a lot of different results every time you do something. Next, in part 2, I'll show a variation on this technique, which should help you make a very smooth blend, either from one color to another or from a dark to a light value. Don't forget to check the links below for more resources and information. Thank you.